What's cracking, guys? Bruce Madsen here, your host show, Metric Scout Fantasy Football. It's rookie mock draft season. Been dropping rookie mock drafts left and right. I've been kicking up the DEFCON 5, 1, however you want to rate it, but it's up there. I dropped one the other day. It was a 4-rounder, and I said if you get me to 50 likes, I'm going to drop you a 5-rounder as per my appreciation. You guys hit that mark, and now it's time for me to pay up again. So here we go. I'm dropping a 5-round rookie mock draft. This one's super flex as well. On this one, make sure you hit that like button. 50 likes, I'll drop another mock draft within 24 to 48 hours once I see that number. And you know I always pay up. If you like what you see here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Every subscription matters. It fuels me to keep pumping out this content on the daily. One of the few channels here on YouTube giving you rookie draft content every single day, just about. I've been pretty consistent for like the last couple months. I'm going to keep it up, so you better stick with me. With that being said, let's move on to that rookie mock draft. It's time to start up this rookie mock. We got 5-rounders, super flex, big time mock draft, the biggest mock draft we've ever done on the channel. And we're going to do it up right now. At the 101 in this draft, they drafted Breece Hall, running back from Iowa State. Usually the 101 or 102 in Superflex, so this is no surprise. Most time on the mocks on this channel, he is the 101, whether it's 1 QB or Superflex. He is locked and loaded. 102, you know it, Malik Willis, quarterback from Liberty, usually locked in, just like Breece Hall, 101 or 102. Usually 102 in the drafts here, but if you probably go to some other people's drafts, you'll probably see him 101 locked in there. But he is a top tier asset according to the market. Whether you think so or not, it is what it is. 103 here. Wide receiver, first one coming off the board, and it's Garrett Wilson. Wide receiver from Ohio State. He's going to be a first-round pick in the actual NFL draft. Had some production at OSU. Good skills, can climb the ladder, bring it home. A lot of good stuff with this dude. Moving on to the 104 pick. Here we drafted Treylon Berks, wide receiver from Arkansas. Another top-tier wide receiver from this class. Getting good draft capital in this rookie draft. Should be a first-rounder. It's going in the back half of that first round. There's a chance he could land in a prime spot. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens to him. At the 105 here, we took Kenneth Walker, running back from Michigan State, blew up this year. Very productive. Then he killed the combine, solidified him as the RB2 in this draft. Going to be interesting to see where he goes in the draft, because he could be in the situation where we see a mega rise in his value. At the 106 spot in this draft, here they drafted Jamison Williams, wide receiver from Alabama. In the last draft, and it was super flex, he fell to the 201 spot. Here he's going at 106. One of the highest I've seen him gone. Usually he's like around the 110 range, usually in that area. But I don't hate the pick. He's going to be a first rounder, has some juice in his legs, and could go to a spot where he could excel. At the 107, another wide receiver going off the board, and he's considered in that big three, and that's Drake London, wide receiver from USC. Very productive this year, one of the most productive wide receivers in college football until he hurt his ankle. Big-time riser in the draft process. We're talking about a guy who was just middling in the first-rounders, and then throughout these last couple months, he's fighting for that wide receiver 1 spot. To the 108 pick here, a quarterback going off the board, and that's Sam Howe, quarterback from North Carolina. Dude had over 800 yards rushing, got some of that Konami code in him. More of a scrambler, though. Might get first-round draft capital again. Where he goes in the draft is really going to impact his value. At 109, these guys drafted Rashad White, running back from Arizona State. This guy had a big rise after the combine. Did really well there. Did well last season, rushing for over 1,000 yards, double-digit touchdowns, catch the ball in the backfield. The top PPR back in this draft, when you talk to the consensus here, 109 spot might be a little bit too rich for my blood right now, considering we don't know where he's going to go in the draft. but he gets day 2 draft capital. Expect him to be drafted in this range. Next pick off the board here, 110. Here they drafted Matt Corral. And again, Superflex, quarterbacks rise up boards. He was my QB1 throughout the season this year. And honestly, I get it. Malik Willis has the goods to be a fantasy producer, but Matt Corral sure does as well. He can run with it a little bit. He can sling the rock. He's got some moxie. I think this is a hell of a value here at the 110 spot. At the 111, third running back coming off the board, and it's Isaiah Spiller, running back from Texas A&M. Dude is thick. He can run between the tackles, catch the ball in the backfield. He's got some burst in the open field. Let's see where he goes in the draft. I'm going to say that about a lot of these players. 112. Another quarterback coming off the board on this pick. Dude's got some rushing ability, and we're talking about Desmond Ridder, quarterback from Cincinnati. I think last draft I just did, fell in the latter part of the second round. Now he's the latter part of the first round. Again, 2022, these rookie drafts are hitting different. Guys are just falling and rising depending on who you're drafting with. That's why you need to be analyzing the market. At 112 in the Superflex rookie mock draft, Desmond Ridder. And that's it for the first round of this mock. Let's recap real quick. At the 101, Breece Hall. 102, Malik Willis. 103, Garrett Wilson. 104, Treylon Berks. 105, Kenneth Walker. 106, Jamison Williams. 107, Drake London. 108, Sam Howe. 109, Rashad White. 110, Matt Corral. 111, Isaiah Spiller. And 112, Desmond Ridder. And now it's time to move on to the second round of this 5-round rookie mock draft. And at the 201 spot, they selected Chris Olave, the other wide receiver from Ohio State. Guy's supposed to be drafted in the first round in this year's draft. More than likely is going to happen. I've seen him mock to the Eagles a good bit. So him and Devontae Smith could be a good pair. Let's see what happens with him. But I feel like he could be a riser depending on where he goes in the draft. At 202, good spot for him considering it's super flex. It's George Pickens, wide receiver from Georgia. One of my favorite wide receivers in the draft. One of my guys. I'm going to be drafting him a lot in leagues. 202. I can't get salty at this price tag. I've been seeing him go like 2.5, 2.6, 2.8 in some drafts, falling down the board, and that is bad. I think this is a good spot. First round, 112, ultimately is probably the better range for him. 111, 110. In all actuality, 202 is good enough. At 203 here, they drafted Kenny Pickett, quarterback from Pitt. This dude's very questionable because he only gives you 1 year of solid production. And honestly, this could have been all due to Jordan Addison. He is a damn good wide receiver. If you haven't heard of him, check out his tape because he's going to be one of the top wide receivers in next year's draft. But Kenny Pickett is going to be a first-round pick. Book it. Book that one up. Let's see where he goes because I feel like he's going to need some wide receivers to smooth out the transition. I don't want him to go to a team where the team's rebuilding and there's not many pieces to work with. I think this team needs to be built now for him to succeed. So pretty much we're looking at the Steelers if that happens. 203 though for a first-round quarterback is a good price tag. Moving on to the 204 spot here. This guy was in the first round of the last draft. Now he's at the 204 spot. This is how these picks fluctuate. It's Christian Watson, wide receiver from North Dakota State. I feel a little safer with this price tag. I'd feel a little bit safer if he's on down the board a little bit more. Maybe latter part of the second round. There's some ambiguity with his skill set, where he goes in the draft. Small school guy, there is some ambiguity here. He's not for certain, but there is some good things in his tape. He's high-end athlete. He can stretch the field, good size-adjusted athlete, moves well, sudden, and has decent route running. We saw that at the Senior Bowl, but let's see what happens with him. At the 205 spot, they drafted one of my guys, and that's Sky Moore, wide receiver from Western Michigan. I think we're going to get to the NFL draft, and we're going to realize the NFL likes him more than what we think. I think they are. I think they're going to pull the trigger on him in day 2. High-end slot receiver, probably one of the best slot receivers in the draft, if not the best. Very sudden, very nuanced route runner. For him coming from a G5 program, he ran a large variety of routes. That's something you got to look into. And since he's coming from a G5 program, there's probably still more development there, which means he can only get better. Moving on to the 206 spot, another wide receiver's coming off the board. Might go in the first round. He's been mocked there. Could fall to the second, but that's Johann Dotson, wide receiver from Penn State. Got some goods here, some short area quickness, some speed. Hands are sticky. At the 206 spot, not a bad price point. Now going to the 207 pick here. One of my guys fell in the draft. I'm not liking it too much. I feel like he should have been drafted a little bit earlier than this. I get he falls to the second round a lot, and that it is what it is. He failed the combine. I'm talking about David Bell, one of my favorite wide receivers. I've been on him all year. Been productive throughout his career, early breakout age, good ball skills, good tape, very slick route runner. I feel like he's going to be a value. You cannot let him fall past the 205 range in rookie drafts. Shame on these guys. At the 208 spot here in this draft, these guys drafted James Cook, running back from Georgia. This guy's got some pop in his step and catch the ball out of the backfield. He's going to be a potential PPR back. At least that's where he could end up making his money at for us in fantasy. Draft capital is going to matter with this guy immensely, especially for us, especially where we want to draft him at. Here, he's a speculative asset here in the second round. At the 209 spot, another one of my guys is coming off the board, and we're just waiting for the NFL draft on this guy, and it's Justin Ross, wide receiver from Clemson. At one time, he was considered one of the best wide receivers in college football. Age 18, breakout age, over a 20% market share in every season that he played in. That's with him playing at Clemson, sharing the field with other wide receivers who are considered top-tier prospects. This year had over a 20% market share while playing with bad quarterback play, bad balls coming his way, still getting it done. Tape checks out. One of the best route runners in his class. He's very nuanced. He attacks blind spots even. He is ahead of schedule in his development. Again, I like to see where he goes in the draft due to that spinal issue. If the NFL's not worried about it, he's going to be a day 2 guy. Moving on to the 210 spot in this draft, another one of my dudes came off the board here. Last draft, he fell to the 3rd round. Got me upset a little bit. But here it's Amir White, running back from Georgia. I feel like he's still being slept on at this portion of the draft. He's one of the top running backs in this draft. When it comes to talent, when it comes to athleticism, he did very well at the combine, but since Breece Hall did well, Kenneth Walker did well, some ancillary jabronis did well, he kind of got slept on a little bit, which is good. It's allowing us to get him at a discount, but I think the draft is going to let us know that the NFL values him, and he's got some size to run between the tackles. He's got some Nick Chubb in him. He can be a very valuable asset to his NFL team. Could he be a top-tier NFL back? He has the potential for that. Could he fall on his face? That's in it too, but I'm here to bet on the upside. To the 211 pick here, these guys drafted Wan'Dale Robson, wide receiver from Kentucky. This guy broke out with 2 collegiate programs, has an age 19 breakout age. First program was with Nebraska, then went ham this year with Kentucky. One of the most productive wide receivers in college football. And now it's time to see where he goes in the draft because the market share numbers is there, the breakout age numbers is there. Height's not really there for us. Size adjusted athleticism is not really there for us, but that could wash out with good draft capital. Coming to the 212 spot here, to finish off the second round. Here, these guys drafted John Metchi, wide receiver from Alabama, and draft capital might be there for this dude. He may sneak higher in the draft than expected because of the Alabama tax. Big media has been talking him up a lot, especially during the bowl games, especially during draft season. He does have some fluidness in his route running. He's very cerebral, and for an NFL team, that's something they may want, and they may pull the trigger earlier than expected. Am I drafting him? I want him to climb boards so my guys will fall to me. That's what I really want John Metchi to do for me. If he can do that, I'll love him even more. That's it for the second round, though. Before we move on, let's recap real quick. So at the 201 spot, drafted Chris Olave. 202, George Pickens. 203, Kenny Pickett. 204, Christian Watson. 205, Scott Moore. 206, Johann Dotson. 207, David Bell. 206, James Cook. 209, Justin Ross. 210, Amir White. 211, Wan'Dale Robinson. And 212, John Metchi. And that's it for the second round. And it's time to move on to round 3. In round 3, we are seeing Trey McBride, tight end from Colorado State, go off the board as the 301 pick, first pick in the 3rd round, considered a top tight end prospect in this year's draft, high end market share numbers, competing with some of the top wide receivers in college football, catch the ball, run routes, strong to catch point. I like him better as a 3rd round pick, even in the early part of the 3rd round, than him going in the 2nd round. I feel safer with this price point than him going at 205, 206, 207 that we've seen in a lot of other mock drafts. A little cheaper, and I'd feel a little better. 301's okay. It's better than what we've seen. At 302 here, they selected Jerome Ford, running back from Cincinnati. This guy's a wild card. I feel like he can go either way for us. He has the potential to blow up right in front of us. He has some speed, some burst, can run between the tackles, catch the ball in the backfield. High-end recruit coming out of high school. Slept on a little bit over at Alabama, had to transfer out to Cincinnati. Very weird prospect profile. He had to do what he had to do to transfer out so he can get that production in his game. Now it's time for him to hit that NFL draft. Moving on to 303 pick here. They drafted Brian Robson, running back from Alabama. The draft's going to tell us his story. I feel like he's going to get drafted higher than expected. Again, Alabama helmet, was productive, can catch the ball in the backfield. He's got some wiggle, can run between the tackles. Will it be a high-end fantasy asset? Maybe not. He's got the chance for that, but I'm not looking for that, but he could rise boards in the right situation. Again, if you pay up for it, you do, or you can allow your guys to fall to you, whatever you want. Here at the 304 spot in the draft, they drafted Tyler Batty, running back from Missouri. This is another running back dart throw. He can catch the ball in the backfield. He's got some pop in his step. A little bit of a smaller back, could be more of a satellite option, but has enough size to hold it down as a 3-down workhorse for a bit. He could be fantasy relevant in the right spot. Again, draft, like everybody else, is going to tell us what to do with him. At 305, they drafted Alec Pierce, wide receiver from Cincinnati. Honestly, I'm probably not pulling the trigger on him much in drafts. 4th round, 5th round, yes. 3rd round, too rich for my blood. Production's not really there. The athleticism is. But again, there's other prospects that I'd rather have. At 306, this guy's fell from grace. Failed the combine miserably. Kyron Williams, running back from Notre Dame. And I like this price point. I'll take some jabs at him at the middle of the 3rd round. Falls to the late 3rd round, sure. He can catch the ball in the backfield. He'll get on the field due to his blocking ability. He's slower than most running back prospects, but he's still fast enough to get the job done. Size adjusted speed-wise, it's definitely not there. The price is what matters. The 306 is a lot cheaper than the 2nd round, 1st round, and here we're taking dart throws. There are some guys on the board that I'd rather take, I feel safer with, but if he gets drafted higher than expected, gets day 2 draft capital even, or even like round 4 to a decent team, a decent opportunity, then we're going to have to perk our ears up a little bit more. Moving on to 307, these guys drafted Jalen Tolbert, wide receiver from South Alabama. Small school prospect with a lot of promise. This guy can get downfield, make some catches. On to him, one of my favorite late round rookie draft prospects, honestly. I'm probably going to snag him up a bit in some leagues. And really, I just like the upside. I like the promise. But if he falls too far in the draft, I may have to ignore him because if he's buried on a depth chart, then it is what it is. Moving on to 308, they drafted Calvin Austin, wide receiver from Memphis. He's a guy that I am not interested in at all. I'm not drafting him. Too shorts, more of a gadget player, destined for the slot only, but more than likely special teams. Does have speed, but there's a lot of guys in this draft that has speed, and speed's not everything. Has some production, but really needs to go to the right team. If he goes to a team where I feel like he can get a role as the slot guy, get snaps, be on the field, and the rookie draft value is at this price or cheaper, I might look at him. So forget what I've said earlier. There's a chance I draft him. But as a profile, I'm not into it that much. At 309, next player off the board is running back Tyler Algiere from BYU. Big, thick dude, 220-pounder, very productive this year. Catch the ball in the backfield a little bit, out of the flats. And he has a nose for the end zone. I feel like he's going to get drafted a little bit higher than expected, even though he didn't do too well at the combine. He didn't do too bad from a size-adjusted speed standpoint. But somebody, some random on the internet from BYU or somewhere, some guy from the corner of the internet said he was a 4.3 guy. And the internet got excited, and that didn't happen. The air went out of that bubble real quick. And false hopes is not something you don't want to give to the draft community. Still, Tyler Algiere was productive. 310. Another tight end coming off the board here. Isaiah Likely, Coastal Carolina. Dude's got some goods in his game. He's got some athleticism. He's a tight end. Those are big-time dart throws. Usually take some years for development. At the latter part of the third round, it's okay with me. At 311, I kind of like this pick. This is a value here. And these guys drafted Carson Strong, quarterback from Nevada. Third round, 311, Superflex, and you're getting a quarterback that is going to get at least day 2 draft capital. Sign me up. Biggest arm in the draft, maybe? And he can sling the rock? Yes, this is the biggest value of this rookie draft. Usually I see him go in the second round, like 205 range to 2.8 to 210. This 311 is usually the latest I've seen him go in any of my Superflex mock drafts. At 312, a wide receiver that I'm looking to draft in some leagues. 312 is a good price point for him. That's Khalil Shakir. Wide receiver from Boise State. Dude can make catches downfield, highlight reel plays. I look for him to get drafted in the latter part of the draft. Day 3 guy, but still he has some pop in his game. And right team, right place, right time could be a fantasy asset. And that's it for the third round. That's it for this. So let's go over these picks real quick and we'll move on. So at the 301, Trey McBride. 302, Jerome Ford. 303, Brian Robson. 304, Tyler Batty. 305, Alec Pierce. 306, Kyron Williams. 307, Jalen Tolbert. 308, Calvin Austin. 309, Tyler Algiere. 310, Isaiah Likely. 311, Carson Strong. 312, Khalil Shakir. That wraps up the third round. Let's put a bow on that guy. And it's time to move on to round 4. And the first pick off the board in round 4 for the 401 is Dameon Pierce, running back from Florida. This guy had a major stock increase at the Senior Bowl. Can run through dudes, good vision, good contact balance. Type of guy that the NFL likes. Is he the type of guy fantasy gamers like? Is he the type of guy that scores a lot of fantasy points? Not really when you look at his profile, but he does have some goods. And if he gets touches and gets opportunity, that could be enough for us to be game on him. At 402, a quarterback coming off the board, and a new guy, and it's Caleb Ellaby, quarterback from Western Michigan. He is a sleeper. He is a big-time sleeper. He's a developmental prospect that has some upside. His film looks good. If you don't know about him, check him out. And I'm excited to talk about him, actually. I've been waiting for this to happen. And yeah, as a late sleeper at quarterback, if you're looking for someone to stash in Superflex, Caleb Ellaby from Western Michigan is a guy to look out for. At 403 here, one of my favorite guys here, in the 4th roundish, 3rd roundish area where I'm drafting him at, and I'm excited to get him there. It's Pierre Strong, running back from South Dakota State. This guy was very productive, did very well at the combine, and honestly, if he gets the opportunity to get touches, he could be a fantasy asset. At the 404 pick here, another tight end coming off the board, and he ain't coming off the board for me. Doesn't even matter what round it is. It's Jalen Whittemire, tight end from Texas A&M. Just failed the pro day too bad. There's just some thresholds. My threshold's pretty wide on 40 times. But if there's a 5 in your number, 5.0 something, 5 point something, doesn't even matter if it's tight end, running back, wide receiver, no. you're falling. No more Jalen Whittemire for me. Coming on to the 4 or 5 pick. Next player coming off the board here is Ty Chandler, running back from North Carolina. Another guy I'm looking to draft up. 4th round's where I'm looking to get him. 3rd round, maybe a little dicey depending on draft capital, though. If he gets drafted higher than expected or goes to a decent situation, 3rd round could be good. But I like him as a late round gem, a guy that I'm willing to put some chips on to see if he hits. Moving on to the 4 or 6 pick here, another tight end coming off the board, Greg Dolcitz from UCLA. And he is one of the better route running tight ends in the draft, can get downfield, make catches. They were really high on him at the combine, talking him up. A lot of people have him in their top 5 for tight ends. Again, it's another tight end, so we gotta wait on development. 4th round though, love the price tag. At the 407 pick here, friend of the show, friend of my YouTube comments, Kevin Harris, running back from South Carolina. Big, thick back, has some production to his name. Late round gem, and honestly, I'm drafting him too. You guys are drafting him. You guys said it. A few guys said in the comments that you're drafting him up, that he has been ranked too low. He's a value. You know what? I'm on board too. I'm getting Kevin Harris as well. Book that up. Moving on to 408, another guy that I'm into. Could be a UDFA, could be a 7th rounder, 6th rounder, maybe higher. I don't know, but there is some good things here. And that's Keontae Ingram from USC, formerly from Texas. Dude's got some wiggle. Dude can move laterally well, catch the ball in the backfield a bit. Premium prospect coming out of high school. Big things could happen in the right spot, but let's see. But 408 is a good dart throw here. Here at the 409 spot, another running back's coming off the board. Very interesting profile coming out of high school too, and it's Jerome Ely, running back from Ole Miss. This dude can catch the ball in the backfield. He's got some pop in his step. High-end recruit coming out of high school. Just didn't click too well, but he has just enough the production for us to not forget about him, and I like him as a dart throw. At 410, another dart throw wide receiver that I love here, and it's Romeo Dowds from Nevada. Big wide receiver, can get downfield, worked with Carson Strong. Draft's going to matter for him. Could be a UDFA, could be a 6th rounder, could be a 4th rounder. Interesting profile, but I love the dart throw. I love the upside play here. At 411, a tight end's coming off the board. I feel like this is a safe pick because Jeremy Ruckert from Ohio State. I feel like he's destined for day 2 draft capital. I feel like he's a better asset in the passing game than what people give him credit for, and he will latch on to his NFL team and make an impact. At 412 here to finish off this 4th round, in this spot they draft Zonovan Knight from North Carolina State, another thick running back and get the job done between the tackles, and we're just watching for situation and draft capital, and that's it for the 4th round. Let's recap real quick. At 401, Damian Pierce. 402, Caleb Ellaby. 403, Pierre Strong. 404, Jalen Whittemire. 405, Ty Chandler. 406, Greg Dolcitz. 407, Kevin Harris. 408, Keontae Ingram. 409, Jerome Ely. 410, Romeo Dowds. 411, Jeremy Ruckert. 412, Zonovan Knight. And we're wrapping another bow on this round. 4th round is done, and now it's time to move on to the 5th and final round, the longest mock draft we've done on this channel so far. And you don't really see many mock drafts going to 5 rounds, especially on this YouTube space. I'm probably the only one. I'm probably the only one that does a mock draft here every other day, it feels like, but I feel like this is the best thing to do, getting us towards the draft. We all know these players so far. We're all degenerates. If you're watching this channel here in April, you know your stuff. You know your stuff as much as me. Some of you know more than me. So I might as well help you guys out with the market, gather some info, and let's mash this together. And here in round 5, let's cover this one up real quick. At the 501 pick, they drafted Sincere McCormick, running back from UTSA. One of my favorite running backs in the draft, actually. I like him as a late round gem. I like him better at 4th or 3rd rounder. I feel like he has some good production to his name, catches the ball in the backfield, got some bursts and some suddenness. I feel like this is a good price. 502 here, they drafted Devontae Price, running back from Florida International. Thicker running back who can get the job done between the tackles. At 503 here, they drafted Hassan Haskins from Michigan. The dude had a big game against Ohio State. Some big performances off and off throughout the season. Big boy, can get the job done between the tackles as well. Grinder, and I could see the NFL pulling the trigger on him earlier than expected. Some of these running backs who are falling, some of them can go earlier. It's a weird running back group. Hassan Haskins could be one of those dudes. At 504, another quarterback's coming off the board, and it's Bailey Zapp, quarterback from Western Kentucky. This guy was highly productive this year, was at the Senior Bowl. He wasn't the best quarterback there, but he was there making things happen. This is a good spot in rookie drafts to make a dart throw on a rookie quarterback, put him on your taxi squad, watch him develop, trade him away if he gets overvalued, or use him if he becomes a top-tier asset. The odds are against him, but again, it's against everybody in the 5th round of rookie drafts. At the 505 spot here, this guy usually goes 3rd or 4th round of rookie drafts. We're talking about Tyler Goodson, running back from Iowa. This dude's a very good running back and catch the ball in the backfield, get it done between the tackles a little bit. Could be like a satellite back at the next level. He's a smaller back. Won the combine, did better than expected, has some juice in his legs. Let's see where he goes in the draft. At 506, these guys drafted Vellus Jones from Tennessee, wide receiver who did well at the Senior Bowl. Very athletic, good size adjusted athleticism. Could get drafted earlier than expected due to that size adjusted athleticism. To the 507 spot here in the draft, and these guys drafted Kevin Austin from Notre Dame. Dude's a bigger wide receiver and get downfield, make things happen. He's another dart throw for the 5th round. At 508, this guy's drafted CJ Burdell from Oregon. He used to be a top tier, mid-level-ish Devy asset. People had him on teams back then. Things happened. Now he's going in the 5th round, if not being a UDFA. Rookie mock drafts. Production's there. He had some moments. Let's see if he can string it together at the NFL. At the 509 spot, one of my targets is going off the board, especially for these latter rounds, and it's Eric Zukan from Texas Tech. I struggle saying the name. I struggle. It comes up the mouth funny, but I like him. I still like him. He can get downfield, make plays happen. Solid route runner, and again, a good dart throw to have in the latter part of drafts. At the 510 pick here, they selected Zaquandre White, big, thick back who can get the job done between the tackles. Draft capital situation, opportunities, everything for running backs. Let's see what happens. 5'11", another running back coming off the board. Think this is a big-time value. They drafted Abram Smith, running back from Baylor. Dude was very productive this year. Has good size, adjusted athleticism. It's fun to watch. And I'm very interested to see where he goes, what opportunity he gets at the NFL. Last pick off the board here for the 5th round and for this draft at 512. And here they drafted Tyquan Thornton, wide receiver from Baylor. Elite speed, blazed the track. If he gets the opportunity, could make things happen. But that's it for this 5-round rookie mock draft. Let me know in the comments what you think. Who fell? Who went too high? A different draft. All these drafts are different. Your draft's going to be different than my draft. And this is a different year compared to other years because there's a lot of volatility. The draft's going to clear some things up, but I feel like it's still going to be crazy. With that being said, make sure you smash that subscribe button. Every subscription matters. It fuels me to keep pumping out this content. Fuels me to keep helping you out with these rookie drafts and everything else. Again, I want to thank you, and I'll catch you next time.